Where's the grand jury when we need them?
Let's go ahead and do roll call.
McElroy,
Here.
Millies. Mr. Elliott is absent today. Diaz. Whitlatch.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Aguilar.
Here.
We stand for a pledge of allegiance. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So we're moving on to public comment. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. If you wish to participate in today's public comment via telephone, please call 559-624-7013. You will be connected to the boardroom to address the Planning Commission in the same manner as if you were here in person. Please state your name and address for the record in order to be heard by everyone in the room. Your statements will go out on the live audio stream and will be included in the audio recording of the meeting. This meeting can be viewed at the Planning Commission's Meetings Tulare County main page website. Under state law, matters presented under this item cannot be discussed or acted upon by the Planning Commission at this time. For items appearing on the agenda, the public will be invited to make comments at the time the item comes up for Planning Commission consideration. Is there anybody here present or on the phone who would like to comment on a non-agendized item? Anybody on the phone, Vilma?
I have nobody on the phone.
Okay, we got about 45 more seconds then for them, if anybody's going to call in. All right, nobody on the phone?
No.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the parcel map public hearings. And this is, or actually, sorry, excuse me, back it up. Approval of minutes. I was getting ahead of myself. For the March 24th, 2021 meeting, and by the way, this is the April 14th, 2021 meeting. We're looking to approve the minutes or, to vote on approval for the March 24th meeting.
Let me turn on your mic. Your mic is off. There you go. Go ahead. Yes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented for the March 24th, 2021.
Are we still having a state name? He should say is Commissioner Whitlatch.
Yeah.
So, okay.
My name on there, but Bill Whitlatch says moved by Bill Whitlatch, second by Steve Pearson.
Moved by Bill Whitlatch, seconded by Steve Pearson. Please vote. Okay, so the motion to approve the minutes from the March 24th, 2021 meeting passes with 6 yes, 0 no, and 1 absence.
Through the chair.
Yes.
At this time, we would like to state that item 5A, special use permit PSP 21-005, has been withdrawn by the applicant and is off the agenda.
Okay,
It's
so
off the agenda.
5A, so
Yes.
21-005?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll go, when we get there, we'll go to B.
Yes, and I just wanted to state, also for anybody who's on the phone or in the audience, that item will no longer be heard, so.
Okay.
So they can go.
Okay, so then we'll move on to parcel map public hearings. Action on all parcel maps in this section of the agenda will be heard in one public hearing unless anyone wishing to discuss any one of these items requests that it be pulled for a separate public hearing. No staff presentation will be given on any item unless requested. In any case, there will be a separate vote on these items. To members of the public, if you wish to participate in today's public hearing via telephone, please call 559-624-7013. You will be connected to the boardroom to address the Planning Commission in the same manner as if you were here in person. If you choose to participate by submitting an email as this item is being heard, email should include the sender's name and address for the record. Email should be sent to the clerk of the Planning Commission at Planning Commission, and that's all one word, so Planning Commission at tulare-county.ca.gov. Comments received after the public hearing has closed will be made part of the record if received before the end of the meeting. Okay, so there's no staff presentation on these items. We're going to 4A, which is tentative parcel map number PPM 20-038 for categorical exemption in tentative parcel map number PPM 20-038 to divide one 20-acre parcel into 20.00 acre parcel into two parcels for the purpose of creating a financing parcel. Parcel 1 equals 17.80 acres approximately, and parcel 1A equals approximately 2.2 acres in the AE 40 exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum zone. The site is located on the northwest corner of Avenue 212 and Road 192, southwest of Lindsay. Contact on this is Francis Tirado Garcia. Phone is 559-624-7078, or email at ftgarcia, all one word, at tularecounty.ca.gov. So,
I just have a quick question, Aaron. Financing parcels, I think, are a great thing. They got to be confusing for probably the owner because they think it's a real separate parcel, but financing parcels, is that created by law?
Yeah, it's under the
Subdivision Map Act?
Yeah.
Okay, so if a city says they're not going to allow them, they can't, right?
Generally, they're not supposed to disallow financing parcels.
Okay. Is that true, County Council? Okay.
Okay.
is there additional discussion or anybody that needs to comment on this item? Anybody on the phone, Velma?
No, I have nobody on the phone.
Okay, give it about another 30 seconds.
And that's for all of them, right? They would have had to call in for all of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're opening the comment, the ability to comment on all of the items, so that's A, B, C, and D is open for now. Okay, anybody on the phone, Velma?
We have nobody on the phone.
Okay. So I read off what item 4A is. Is there any additional discussion on that since we are now closing the public comment portion of this parcel map public hearing section?
I'll make a motion that we approve item 4A, categorical exemption consistent with California Environmental Quality Act and state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction and conversion of small structures and conditionally approved tentative parcel map PPM 20-038 and waiver of final map.
And Bill, just for the record, because I know we know who you are, but did you say?
Bill Whitlatch.
Yeah, just for the people on the phone or listening in.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second the motion, Wayne Millies.
Okay, please vote. Okay, the motion to approve tentative parcel map number PPM 20-038 passes with 6 yes and 1 absence. Okay, so we are then moving on to item B, which is tentative parcel map number PPM 21-006 for a categorical exemption in tentative parcel map number PPM 21-006 to divide one parcel containing approximately 40 acres into 2 parcels. Parcel 1 equals 1.87 gross acres, and parcel 2 equals 38.32 gross acres in the AE 40 exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum zone. The site is located on the east side of Road 148, Mariposa Avenue, approximately 2,500 feet south of Avenue 232, which is State Highway 137 east of Tulare. The contact on this is Francis Tirado Garcia at 559-624-7078, or email at ftgarcia, that's one word, ftgarcia at tularecounty.ca.gov.
So I can make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
Make a motion to, this is Bill Whitlatch, approve a categorical exemption consistent with California Environmental Quality Act and the state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations 15303, Class 3, pertaining to new construction and conversion of small structures, and conditionally approve tentative parcel map PPM 21-003, and a waiver of final map.
Okay. Is there a second?
Wayne Millies, I'll second the motion.
Please vote.
Did you say 21-003 or 6?
006. Maybe, no, I don't know what I said,
I
actually.
think you said 3, but, so it's,
That was,
But you meant 21-006?
that's what I meant, yes.
Okay, good. So, and just to make sure
Lexi.
everybody voted on 21-006. All right, so the motion to approve item PPM 21-006 passes with 6 yes and 1 absence. Okay, we're moving on to item C, which is tentative parcel map number PPM 21-011 for a categorical exemption in tentative parcel map number PPM 21-011 to divide one parcel containing approximately 80 acres into 2 parcels. Parcel 1 equals approximately 4 acres, and parcel 2 equals approximately 76.31 acres in the AE 40 exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum zone. The site is located on the east side of Road 20, approximately 1,320 feet north of Avenue 360, south of Kingsburg. Contact is Francis Tirado Garcia, 559-624-7078, or email at ftgarcia@tularecounty.ca.gov. Is there any discussion?
If not, I'll make another motion
Okay,
to approve categorical exemption consistent with California Environmental Quality Act and state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14. I said Bill Whitlatch. Didn't I? Anyway, this is Bill Whitlatch, I think I am. CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code Regulations, Section 15303, Class 3, conditionally approved tentative parcel map PPM 21-011, and waiver of final map.
I'll second that motion.
what's your name?
Aguilar.
Okay, please vote.
Hard to remember your name.
It's the mask, yes.
Just a question.
Yeah.
This is, I guess, maybe for Belmont staff. After all the numbers on this is acres, there's a little Y there with a little tilde or whatever that little comma on. What does that mean?
The underlined plus sign?
Well, no, I'm
On
saying.
the screen.
On the screen, I'm saying that I think there's
An error.
error in our screens, because we get those often.
Yeah.
It's not what we put up there, it's how the computer's translating it. So you can ignore the Y, the Y's. Okay.
That should
To
say
the
plus or
system.
minus.
Correct.
Put into the system, it doesn't,
Oh, it's supposed to be a plus or minus.
yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, now it makes sense, but, so in
That's the
the transfer, in the communication, then,
Recognize that, and so
Yeah, the
it
copy.
puts in that Y.
see, okay.
Confusing, so I went back to my agenda. All right. Okay, so the motion to approve PPM 21-011 passed with 6 yes and 1 absence. Moving on to D. Right? Item A, B, C, D, 4. Okay. So this is for tentative parcel map number PPM 21-009 for a categorical exemption in tentative parcel map number PPM 21-009 to divide 56.9 acre APN 150-090-012 into 2 parcels. Parcel 1 equals 2.49 acres and parcel 2 equals 56.95 acres with the final map waiver in the AE 40 exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum zone. The site is located on the northwest corner of Avenue 256 and Road 140 near Visalia. Contact on this one is April Hill at 559-624-7108 or email at ahill@tulare-county.ca.gov.
I just want to point out there's a correction on the agenda. It says on the approval section, final map required is not a final map, it's a waiver.
Final map waiver.
No, at the very bottom of the
Oh, okay.
approval, the last wording.
And with
instead
the
of it saying
waiver?
Yes, final map required, it's a waiver map.
And a waiver map.
Waived map.
Final map waiver. Final map? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Go ahead, Bill. You're on a roll.
You think I can get it right? I'll try.
You're on a roll.
This is Bill Whitlatch, and I will make a motion to approve a categorical exemption per section 15301 pertaining to existing facilities, section 15303 pertaining to new construction or replacement of small structure, and a conditionally approved tentative parcel map PPM 21-009 with an exception and a waiver of final map.
Gil Aguilar, second.
Please vote.
We're giving
No
Gil a
exception.
Gil, seconded? Okay.
On the reading though, it's no exception. Right, April?
No exception?
With no exceptions.
With no exception.
Thank you.
I'll still second that.
I'll still
We need to
first it.
re-motion, or is it? No, okay. All right, so then the vote to approve PPM 21-009 with the amendment as stated for the waiver of the final map passes with 6 yes and 1 absence. Before we go on to the public hearing, Erin, I had a question, just because, along the lines of little tiny details. On the 4th item, there's no approximation of the acreage, but on the previous ones there is. How does that happen?
If the surveyor comes in with exact acreage and the math works,
Yeah,
we tend to not put the plus and minus signs.
Okay.
So that's where it's more approximate. But if they're sure of themselves, there's no plus or minuses.
okay, got it, thank you.
The one before, it comes out to .39, and on the other, it was just 80.
Right. These are tentative maps, and sometimes, unless they're final, you really don't know what the absolute acreage is until you get to that final part of it. But they're supposed to come in on the tentative side with a little bit more exact, so we help them out by putting the plus or minus sign on it.
Okay. All right, okay, so we're going to move on then to the public hearings, and as requested by staff, or as noted by staff, we're removing item A, which was pulled by the applicant.
Yes.
And so, if any member of the public wishes to participate in today's public hearing via telephone, please call 559-624-7013. You will be connected to the boardroom to address the Planning Commission in the same manner as if you were here in person. Please state your name and address for the record in order to be heard by everyone in the room. Your statements will go out on the live audio stream and will be included in the audio recording of the meeting. The timer will be set to 3 minutes, so please adhere to the time limit. If you choose not to call in, you may also participate by submitting an email as this item is being heard. Email should include the sender's name and address for the record. Email should include the following in the subject: agenda item number, and then the name of the item that you wish to comment on, or the number that you wish to comment on, and can be sent to the clerk of the Planning Commission at Planning Commission, all one word, so Planning Commission at tulare-county.ca.gov. Every effort will be made to read your comment into the record, but some comments may not be read due to time limitations. Comments received after the public hearing has closed will be made part of the record if received before the end of the meeting. That concludes the instructions for today's public hearing. So we're going to start with item B, which is for tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003. It's for a mitigated negative declaration and tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003 to subdivide the approximately 27-acre site into 206 parcels, ranging in size from 5,000 square feet to 9,827 square feet, and a 69,128 square foot pond to contain stormwater runoff located in the R2MU, two-family mixed-use combining zone. The site is located on the northwest corner of Road 72 and Avenue 310 in Goshen. Contact on this is Sandy Roper at 559-624-7101, or you can email him at sroper@tulare-county.ca.gov. And we're going to open the public comment on this item with staff presentation. Use combining zone. The site is located on the northwest corner of Road 72 and Avenue 310 in Goshen. Contact on this is Sandy Roper at 559-624.
There.
What's that? Hush? Well, since we're being filmed, I can't react. Yeah. That was a big delay.
Yeah.
I was like, who's talking? That's me.
On the Zoom or no? Are you sharing your screen on Zoom?
It's showing here.
All I see is Wayne.
Well, that wasn't the sharing of the Zoom though. That's,
Hit the green button on the bottom that says share screen. There you go.
I'm Sandy Roper with the Tulare County Resource Management Agency. The application for your consideration is tentative subdivision map 20-003. The project does have an initial study and mitigated negative declaration that was prepared for it, and this is for the Swift Homes subdivision. The tentative subdivision map is proposing 206 single-family parcels and also a ponding basin at 69,128 square feet in size. The application is Swift Homes. The location is in the community of Goshen, and it's located on the northwest corner of Road 72 and Avenue 310. On the screen now is the hearing notification map. The notice was published and mailed on March 31st, and the project site is labeled, and the surrounding properties that received notification, they're highlighted. Concerning the environmental study summary, an initial study and mitigated negative declaration and a mitigation monitoring reporting program was prepared. The mitigated negative declaration was sent to the state clearinghouse for a 30-day public review period that began on February 24th and it ended on March 26th of 2021. Mitigation measures were incorporated into the project that would reduce any impact to a point where clearly no significant effect on the environment could occur. There is no substantial evidence that the project as revised would have a significant effect on the environment. The body to take action on this application pursuant to section 7-01-1745A, if a proposed subdivision is located entirely within an urban development boundary adopted pursuant to the urban boundaries element of the general plan, the Planning Commission shall approve, conditionally approve, or disapprove the tentative map with the right of appeal as set forth in section 7-01-1793 of this article. Concerning general plan consistency, the project is located within the urban development boundary for the unincorporated community of Goshen. It's also located within the urban area boundary of the city of Visalia. The land use designation is mixed use. The proposed 206 single-family dwelling units will provide approximately 8% of the projected housing need for the community of Goshen by 2040. Also, the 206 single-family dwelling units will provide approximately 3% of the projected housing need for the county of Tulare by 2040. Concerning general plan consistency, on the screen now is a list of the policies that the project is consistent with. The zoning of the property is R2MU, which is two-family residential with a mixed-use overlay combining zone. And you can see that surrounding the project site, you have M1 zoning to the north. To the east, you have some C2, R2MU, R1MU, and to the south, you have R1 and some R2. The applicant has requested exceptions from the subdivision ordinance pertaining to lot size, lot width, and lot depth. Staff recommends granting these exceptions to these requirements as smaller units are more in line with modern planning standards and guidelines. The below exceptions are not required for mixed-use overlay combining zones, as R3 is an allowed use in this zone, and the planning director has made the below consistency findings for the below sections of the subdivision code for this subdivision under the R2MU overlay combining zone. The first one, section 7-01-1350 pertaining to lot size. There are 22 corner lots within the proposed subdivision not meeting the minimum area required of 7,000 square feet. There are 157 interior lots not meeting the required minimum of 6,000 square feet. For the second one, section 7-01-1355A pertaining to lot width, the average width of the interior lots appears to be approximately 51 feet. They range in width from 50 feet to 61 feet. 4 of the interior lots meet the 60-foot minimum width. None of the corner lots meets the 70 feet minimum width. The third one, section 7-01-1355B, pertaining to lot depths. 186 of the lots meet the 100-foot minimum depth requirement. The planning director has made the following findings. One, that there are special circumstances or conditions affecting the property. There are special circumstances applicable to the property involved. The property is located within the urban development boundary of Goshen, a disadvantaged community that is in need of affordable housing. The exceptions would enable the developer to maximize the use of the property and provide affordable housing to the community. In addition, the county is in the process of updating the improvement standards, allowing more flexibility. 2, that the exception is appropriate for the proper design and/or function of the subdivision. The exceptions are appropriate for this community, as the exceptions would enable the developer to maximize the use of property and provide more affordable housing to the community. 3, that granting of the exception will not be detrimental to the public health, or public welfare, or injurious to other property in the area in which the property is situated. The exceptions are appropriate for this community, as the exceptions would enable the developer to maximize the use of the property and provide affordable housing to the community. 4, that the granting of the exception is in accordance with proposed purposes described in Article 1 of this chapter and the Subdivision Map Act. The exceptions are in accordance with the purpose of the article because the modifications will enable the subdivision to be developed and therefore better serve the community. 5, that the granting of the exception is consistent with the general plan. The exceptions are consistent with the general plan, as the mixed-use land use designation allows for higher density and intensity when it is applied. On the screen now is the vicinity map, and it shows the project site, which is generally located right where Betty Drive transitions into Avenue 312. This is an aerial photograph, again showing the project site with the location where transition is from Betty Drive to Avenue 312, and it's also located on the northwest corner of Avenue 310 and Road 72. On the screen now is the site plan for the project. The 206 parcel subdivision is proposed to be developed in 4 phases, with each phase being timed with market demand and infrastructure improvements. Phase 1 will have 34 parcels. Phase 2 will have 49 parcels. Phase 3 will have 39 parcels. And Phase 4 will have 84 parcels. Pursuant to Section 16A of the initial study and mitigated negative declaration, the applicant will contribute an amount determined by the Resource Management Agency to assist in costs associated with park maintenance, as it is anticipated that the proximity to the park would likely result in residents from the proposed project using the park for recreation-related activities. Park maintenance contribution will be enforced as a condition of approval. The applicant shall implement one of the following options. Option A would be to construct and maintain an on-site park within the subdivision. This option would require the subdivider to provide a funding mechanism, such as an assessment district or homeowners association, before recording the final map. B, contribute an amount determined by the RMA to assist in costs associated with park maintenance for Goshen Community Park, as anticipated that the proximity to the park would likely result in residents from the proposed project using the park for recreation-related activities if an on-site park is not constructed within the subdivision. This option would require the subdivider to provide a funding mechanism, such as an assessment district or homeowners association, before recording the final map.
Andy,
Yes.
the map doesn't show a recreation area, so they plan to use the Ponding Basin as a park?
Says yes.
With the options that are available, the applicant can choose from either of the 3 options. They could choose to construct and maintain a park on site within the subdivision. The second option would be to contribute to the maintenance for the county park, Goshen Community Park, which is located to the west of the project site. And the third option would be to contribute an amount determined by the RMA to assist in the costs associated with park maintenance for Peter Mullick Park, which is located east of the project site. as it's anticipated that the project, proximity to the park would likely result in residents from the proposed project using the park for recreation-related activities. If an
Sandy,
on-site,
real fast, to answer the commissioner's question, yes, they could use the detention basin as a park, or they could choose another configuration, but that could be worked out in the final map and still have substantial conformance to the tentative map.
I mean, I like the project, it just, hard to believe I was a kid once, but you need someplace to go act out your feelings, so.
That's easy to do.
Sandy.
okay. If an on-site park is not constructed within the subdivision, this option would require the subdivider to annex the project site into the Goshen Lighting and Landscape District as a condition of recording the final map. These options are included as a condition of approval, and they give the applicant the flexibility to, choose which of the option, suits them the best. And any of the three options would be consistent with Section 16A of the initial study and mitigated negative declaration concerning parks.
Sandy, if residents choose, if the builder developer chooses to use Goshen Community or Peter Mullick or fund it, what's the access route then to go either direction for the people that live in this community? Is there a way to get out without having to drive out and go to the park? Can you walk to the park?
Yes, either of those existing facilities could be walked to.
So you'd have to have an access route out to the west of the development to get to that park, which is...
Going back to the aerial image, immediately adjacent to the west is the county park, and the other park is located immediately to the east on the east side of Road 72.
That's Mullick?
And when you look at the subdivision, there's two access points at the southern end of the subdivision and one access point on the eastern side of the subdivision. And the subdivision will have curbs, gutters, and sidewalks, and people could use those to walk to the park that is to the west, and they could also use the sidewalks and then cross the street to get to the park to the east.
Sandy, I have a question about option A, where it says that they can construct and maintain an on-site park. So they could use the ponding basin or they could use some other area, but is there a minimum where they can't, say, pull out one of the smallest lots and call that a park? Does it have to meet a minimum standard if they choose to do an on-site park?
If they choose to do an on-site park, they could put it, within the ponding basin area. If they chose to put the park in an area where there were originally lots proposed, they could do that as well, and it would reduce the number of lots available as far as constructing single-family residences. And the applicant could choose to do either. The applicant is here today, and during the public hearing, he might be able to tell you which option he prefers, whether it would be constructing and maintaining a park on site or contributing to one of the existing parks either east or west of the project site. And if it was, if the preference was for on-site, then he could also tell you, whether he would put it within the basin or whether he would use, proposed lots and reduce the number of houses.
Would it have to be, if it were going to be on-site, would it have to be more than one lot so it could be a substantial park? Or could it be a tiny lot and still be called a park?
To answer the question, yes, he could put a tiny lot on there, tot lot, you know, and still fulfill the requirements as what we have in CEQA. We don't have park standards in this county, so it's a little bit of what CEQA determined was necessary here. And what we wanted was either contribution to a park
Yeah.
and/or to build one on site. So I think the financial contribution by the homeowners over time might be more, especially if they contribute it to the county. But if he chose to take his own money and put it in, it's probably, you know, as far as CEQA is concerned, at least an effort to build in parks into our system or their system. So, yes, to answer your question, a tot lot would suffice under these conditions.
Aaron, since there are three alternatives, one is funding two of these parks, and this is a phase-implemented project, so there's 4 phases. At what point do they kick in to have to either contribute or construct a park? If they
Well-
never get to, because it says based on market conditions, they'll open up new phases.
Well, before recording the final map, so for each phase, before recording the final map, the assessment districts would be established. And we do that for all our final maps for roads and detention basins. So during that time, of course, you'd probably have to go through for our park, he might have to go through the Prop 218 process as far as establishing a landscaping and lighting district on the property. And it would be a good time to do it since he's the sole owner before any other voters get in there. So that's when they would do that. But we wouldn't require that until the final map. And it's, like I said, it's kind of typical because we do the assessments for roads and detention basins anyway. And that would be done by Public Works at that point.
I'm going to have a question later, but since the developer's here, when he comes up, I want to know how do kids walk to school from here? You got to get across 99, and more important, you got to get across the railroad tracks.
Wait,
Yeah.
not yet.
Don't answer it now. But I'm going to ask you that question.
Before we move off this, I just want to say I'm really glad that we're putting in some kind of a park. So I appreciate that. I'd like to see that with all other developments because I know we've not done that with every one that we've had in Goshen.
No, we've never, you know, and it's getting to a point where Goshen's development intensity is going to increase. So, looking
parks.
at it under CEQA eyes, there is a need for more parks. It's not typically in all of our communities. There's not that many parks, and if they were funded through grants. So we got 11, 12 parks in the county, and we don't have the funding to maintain them. So the developers are going to have to start creating it. So looking at Goshen though, because there is so much intensity, we are willing to look at it under CEQA and what CEQA requires.
Okay, thank you.
Question on the deal. Upon Sandy's description of the location of the parks and access to it, looks like both of these parks are going to be used. And we have an either-or option here. Is it the funding mechanism that is separating these two, or would it not be prudent to have a small contribution to support each park, because they're all going to need funding?
Well, looking at it through CEQA eyes, it's not so much as long as parks are being funded. Again, we have not done this before, so this is precedent setting in the fact that we've looked at it through CEQA. But CEQA, as far as mitigation measures, would not care as much as far as the split or an equity share or how that's split up, just as long as it is mitigated. And the mitigation we've looked at gives the developer options. So the equitable aspect of it, I don't really think that CEQA is used for that purpose. Now, as far as and again, there's no other assessment district mechanism as we sit today necessarily for the county parks. So this is new in that regard. So I think in giving the developer options to even mitigate this, this was the best solution.
Thanks, Sandy. Do you have more? I'm assuming, yes.
Yeah, there's a little bit more.
So I have one other question on VMT. Is this our first VMT?
Uh,
Or did we do that in Strathmore for the DR Horton?
No, this is the first
What I thought.
CMT case. Yes, this developer has two firsts.
Couldn't figure out the formula, but it's $188 per structure. So is there a formula for the 1,940 miles travel, or trips, I should say?
Yes, there is, and VMT was the next thing that I was going to be talking
Okay.
about.
Sorry.
So on the screen now concerning VMT, the substantiation for section 17B on pages 137 and 138 of the initial study and mitigated negative declaration provides a step-by-step summary of the process for vehicle miles traveled analysis of land development projects, and requires that VMT mitigation be provided as described in section 3.4 of the TIS/VMTA. Mitigation measure 17-1, which is specifically listed as condition of approval number 68 in the draft Planning Commission resolution for this project. It requires the applicant to provide VMT mitigation in the form of payment of fees in lieu. Fees will be based on the following equation: $20 per trip times 1,940 Goshen project daily trips, which would equal 38,800 VMT mitigation fee to be paid to the county. Does that answer your question?
Well, I didn't have all of the pages that were referenced in there to go look at how the calculations, but I'll believe the number.
Yeah, basically, we used a kind of typical trip generation, or Mr. Klaus did, the consultant, and then used our VMT, the circulation element, and how our VMT guidelines say $20 per those trips. So pretty straightforward.
Is that going to be pretty much the same for all VMT?
It's gonna, well, if they're required, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll use a typical traffic model trip generation to get that number, and then we'll multiply it by 20.
So the project across 99 on the other side of Goshen, that's, I think, SME project.
Yeah, that,
Do they have to go back and pick up VMT?
no,
Okay.
no, that's, they were, before the ordinance was, or not the ordinance, before the guidelines were passed, so that they're not, subject to it.
Okay.
Okay. The request would be that the Planning Commission, one, hold a public hearing, and two, adopt the initial study and mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring reporting program consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act and the CEQA guidelines for tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003. And three, conditionally approved tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003 with exceptions to divide the approximately 37-acre parcel into 206 parcels and a 69,128 square foot ponding basin in the R2 MU, or two-family residential with a mixed-use overlay combining zone. And four, direct the environmental assessment officer or designee of the Tulare County Resource Management Agency to file a notice of determination with the Tulare County clerk. This concludes the staff report unless there are any questions.
Do we have any other questions for Sandy?
I have a small question. How close to that 7,000 and 6,000 lot requirements is this project? I mean, I mean, is it 5,900 or? It better not be
Okay, so
over.
the subdivision, it's proposed with a total of 206 lots.
Uh-huh.
And within the subdivision, there are 22 corner lots that do not meet the minimum area requirement of 7,000 square feet. And there are 157 interior lots not meeting the required minimum 6,000 square feet. So
But how close to that 6,000 number are they? I mean, are they just barely under, or, that's my question.
Put it at 5,000, I think I read.
Yeah, the 5,000 square
they
foot
range,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a range of sizes. The interior lots are the ones that tend to be smaller, and the corner lots or areas where the roads curve, end up with larger lots, like shown in the subdivision here. And, I'm going the wrong way.
Well,
So,
just to answer the commissioner's question a little bit more directly, the actual exception here, because of the zoning with the mixed-use overlay, we could go to R3 and we could go to apartments, which have 600 square foot minimums. The subdivision code of the county had the 6,000 square foot minimums, mostly for septic and purposes and or water purposes back in the day. More progressive ways of looking at it, including like City of Visalia or City of Tulare, I mean, they don't necessarily care if you're down to 4,000 square foot lots, right? So, I mean, the archaic nature of our subdivision code doesn't neatly line up with the MU overlay. So what we did with the, under section 18.9 of the zoning code, if the intent is to do higher densities, which it is, then it pretty much automatically makes that exception. We just wanted to put this out here for the record that the planning director's already made the argument for that exception, and that it's not really necessary to go through the whole exception process like you would typically go through for those size lots, especially since we have Cal Water and Goshen CSD hooking up. So the intensity of it's not really going to affect the water quality like it would for regular residential with a septic system. And now we're at one acre lots anyway for under LAMP, so that 6,000 square foot's not necessary anymore.
And in the packet, it said that the county was working on revising its standards. Does that mean to kind of put in writing what you're saying
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know when we did this, but we talked about Goshen, maybe it was a general plan amendment, about specifically changing setbacks, smaller lots. It's just more affordable, as long as you provide some recreational places for kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know when we talked about that.
It was under the zoning, so the zoning doesn't neatly match the subdivision ordinance of the county anymore, so we have to update our development standards, and at some point, we'll go as far as the subdivision ordinance.
But as a planning commission, we agreed on that, that was a good idea at some point.
Right, right, and like I've said before, our ordinance has only been updated once, and Craig could correct me, 97 since the 1970s, so, and so basically since the subdivision ordinance came into play when I was born in 1972, we're,
Rub it in.
you're about, the code's as old as I am, so.
Well, you were born in 73, right? Yeah, there you go.
I graduated from high school in '62, but anyway.
All right. Okay, are there any additional questions for Sandy or staff?
Thank you.
Okay, so then we're going to continue with the public comment. Is there anybody who would like to speak for the project? Did you? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Chairman, Commissioners. First of all, I'd like to thank the staff. They did a tremendous job. They worked hard on this, very responsive. We love doing business in the county. We look forward to doing more projects. We're here to answer any questions.
I didn't catch,
Say your name for the record.
name and address. please.
Name and address for the record.
Greg Nunley, 2590 Diamante. I'm with Swift Homes. Sorry. We're here to answer any questions. I would like to answer the one question, seems like the park. There is no intention for us to do an on-site park. We want to work with the community of Goshen. I've talked to Aaron and Sandy about this extensively, and we're going to come up with a plan to participate in the parks, the county park, maybe the other park to the east of us, and we'll come up with a mechanism for that to help the community of Goshen. So we will not do an on-site park on this site. There'll be 2 parks there, and I think that's better for the community of Goshen to have only 2 parks instead of little pocket parks. So with that, we'll all be in the audience. If you guys have any more questions, I'll feel free to come up.
So tell me about how do kids get from the Goshen school to here without, how do they get to the Goshen school to here? Is
What-
it walkable?
Yeah.
The Goshen,
Elementary.
Your school in Goshen?
How do they walk or do they ride to school?
Sandy, if you could put the,
Yeah, what's the transit route for them to get from your development to the school?
Walk across the railroad tracks, I think that's it.
well, to answer your question, the school is still providing bus service on the east side of the tracks. So these kids would actually get picked up by the bus. We tried to work out with Complete Streets program earlier with the community so we could try to create those options, and dealing with UPRR and undergrounding or creating tunnels or trying to go over, and when we already created this overpass, it's difficult. So technically, if they were to walk, the overpass is the mechanism to get them there, and that's why that overpass was built in both places, the one that goes over the freeway and the one that goes over the train tracks. But it is a little bit of a walk, so the school's still picking kids up by bus on the east side of the tracks.
I think at some point we should be encouraging the school district, it's time for another elementary school, because there's so much housing. I think that's probably the demand, so, but,
Yeah, and honestly, this project's not gonna trip that threshold, because we talked to the school when we were doing the SME project, and that's pretty close to there, but I think if any more develops out on that west side, that's really gonna trigger something for the Visalia Unified out to do
do we have a
something.
location on that side for a school?
No.
No?
Are there any other questions for Mr. Nunley?
This is affordable housing, Greg?
what's that?
This is affordable housing, is that correct?
You know what? I'm doing housing in Goshen right now. We got 76 lots in Goshen Village. It's USDA. We can do USDA. We're doing some USDA housing, but here recently we've been doing FHA. It is mostly affordable housing. We've been doing a mix. And that's what USDA likes to see. They don't like to see all USDA affordable housing. They like to see a mixture with FHA also.
So the pricing, and you're gonna be building this development?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So what's your thought on what is it gonna be pricing at?
What's that?
What are the prices you think are going to be offering for these homes?
Like when we're gonna start the project?
No, what's your pricing
No, the
range?
Selling price
The
of the home.
maximum limit is 286,000 is the maximum limit for USDA. So we're under 300,000. We're quite a bit lower than North Visalia. Probably $20,000 to $30,000 lower, maybe more in price range for the same size house.
All single family? All single family
Yes, all single.
and
family.
owner occupied?
Yes, yes. No, yeah, we can't, USDA limits it, but we can't, if we sell an FHA house, we can't put in there that, hey, you can't rent the house, but that hasn't happened in SME's project, I believe, or the stuff that we're doing currently. They're not buying it for rentals.
We need more projects like this, Greg. Good job.
Okay, any additional questions? All right, thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience or on the phone who would like to comment for this item? Anybody on the phone, Vilma?
No, I have nobody on the phone.
Anybody who would like to speak against the project? A minute total for any comments for or against. Okay, anybody on the phone, Wilma? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the public comment portion of this item. Is there any discussion among the commissioners? No discussion? Does anybody want to make a motion?
This is Gil Aguilar. I'd make a motion, it looks like, is there two items?
There's two motions.
Motions, yeah. To approve, adopt an initial study mitigated negative declaration and a mitigation monitoring and reporting program consistent with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and the guidelines for implementation of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines, and for tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003.
Ed Diaz will second.
Okay, please vote. Okay, the motion to adopt the initial study mitigated negative declaration was moved by Commissioner Aguilar, seconded by Ed Diaz, and passes with 6 yes and 1 absence. Okay, and we have a second motion if anybody wants to make that one.
This is Gil Aguilar. I'd like to make a motion to conditionally approve tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003 with exceptions to subdivide the approximately 37-acre site into 206 parcels, ranging from size 5,000 square feet to 9,827 feet, and then 128 square foot pond to contain stormwater runoff located in the R2 MU two-family mixed-use combining zone with the final map required record.
Okay. Is there a second?
Ed Diaz will second.
Okay, please vote. Okay, the motion to conditionally approve tentative subdivision map number TSM 20-003 was made by Commissioner Aguilar, seconded by Commissioner Diaz, and passes with a vote of 6 yes and 1 absence. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so then we're going on to the continued public hearing. The continued public hearing, just for the record, for those who are here in the audience or listening on the phone, just to explain it, and then I'll read the instructions, is if you have, you can participate, if you have new, you can always participate, but if you want to speak on the item, please let it be on new information. If there's any repetitive information, I'm going to curb that. If you wish to participate in the hearing by telephone, please call 559-624-7013. You will be connected to the boardroom to address the Planning Commission in the same manner as if you were here in person. Please state your name and address for the record in order to be heard by everyone in the room. Your statements will go out on the live audio stream and will be included in the audio recording of the meeting. The timer will be set to 3 minutes, so please adhere to the time limit. If you choose not to call in, you may also participate by submitting an email as this item is being heard. An email should include the sender's name and address for the record. Email should include the following subject: agenda item number, and there's one item on this, that would be agenda item A, special use permit number PSP 20-069, and can be sent to the clerk of the Planning Commission at planningcommission, that's all one word, at tulare-county.ca.gov. Every effort will be made to read your comment into the record, but some comments may not be read due to time limitations. Comments received after the public hearing has closed will be made part of the record if received before the end of the meeting. That concludes the instructions for today's public hearing, and we have the continuation of special use permit number PSP 20-069, which is for a categorical exemption, and special use permit number PSP 20-069 to authorize a fruit packing facility on a 9-acre portion of a 42-plus acre parcel located in the AE 40 exclusive agricultural 40-acre minimum zone. The site is located at 31932 Road 60 in Visalia on the southeast corner of Avenue 320 and Road 60, west of State Route 99 and Goshen. This is continued from the March 10th, 2021 meeting. Contact is April Hill at 559-624-7108, or email ahill@tularecounty.ca.gov. And we have, April will be doing the presentation, or continuing with the additional information that staff wanted time for.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. This meeting was continued from March the 10th, 2021. To summarize the request, M Parking proposes relocating the fruit packing facility and constructing a new packing house west of Goshen. No code compliance violations on the site. Fruit packing facility will occupy a 9-acre portion of a 42-acre parcel located in AE 40 zone. Location is the southeast corner of Avenue 320 and Road 60, west of State Route 99 and the community of Goshen. A comment letter was received on the morning of the March 10th public hearing from the California Rural Legal Assistance. A memorandum responding to the CRLA comments was posted on the Planning Commission website last Thursday evening. And to summarize the response memo, the CRLA attorney stated that the client, Terabella Voice for Change, does not oppose the subject project. County, as lead agency for environmental review, provided substantial evidence in the expanded categorical exemption. County implementation of conditions of approval and requirements of other regulatory agencies are sufficient and effective enough to minimize, reduce, and avoid environmental impacts.
April, on that first item that you said that the client doesn't oppose the project, the attachment that's in the packet says that they do. So is there a date?
She spoke. She spoke and said that they do not oppose. So that's in your minutes.
Okay.
Tribal consultation is not required for the categorical exemption. Proposed facility site contains disturbed ground, cement slabs, accessory structures, and trees. Standard conditions of approval are included in the unlikely event that archaeological or paleontological resources are discovered. The next slide shows the aerial of the site with existing structures, trees, and cement slabs. So the actual facility would be in this corner. Nope, I'm sorry, in this corner, southeast. Continue with,
April, can you go back to the thing there? I think you misspoke possibly on location.
I'm sorry?
If you could go back to the previous slide and just, do you have an actual site plan?
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we just go to that real
That's
fast?
gonna go on the northwest corner, not the southeast.
Northwest. corner.
Northwest, sorry.
Northwest.
Northeast.
Just for clarification.
The project shall comply with Air District Rule 9510, indirect source review. A vehicle miles traveled analysis is not required for small projects or for goods movement. Per the County Board of Supervisors resolution adopted August 11th, 2020 for VMT guidelines. The applicant gave us information that employees are from different communities in the area. Orange Cove, about 45%, Danuba, 25%, Reedley, 20%, Gross Oversea Cutler, 10%, and Visalia, 5%. The employee communities will change because they work through a broker. New facilities technology will reduce the workforce by about 60%, from 60 to 24 employees. Ranches owned by MPark are located from Dinuba to Delano. And here's the map showing where the ranches are. Here's the current site. Here's the new site. The ranches are in different colors here. More county response to Sierra Lake comments. The project traffic will lessen, and driving on State Route 99 reduces fuel use by trucks compared to using local roads. Project peak hour trips are below the 100 trip threshold for a traffic impact study. Conditions of approval include right-of-way improvements in the drive approaches, as well as improving Road 60 and Avenue 320 and bringing them up to Class 2 standards and Class 3 standards respectively. Measurable noise will not exceed adopted county noise thresholds as processing takes place inside the structure. The project is not a new use but a relocation, and the common sense categorical exemption is appropriate. The analysis was thorough. This slide shows the existing truck route from Orange Cove along local roads through the countryside to State Route 99. The proposed truck route, which reaches State Route 99 more quickly, reduces fuel usage, and saves time on trucking produce to the Port of Oakland for shipping overseas. This information was provided by the applicant. Here's a Google Earth photo of the site, of the facility site from Road 60 and Avenue 320, showing the site planned for the new packing house. Project will not have a potential for causing a significant effect on the environment and therefore is not subject to CEQA. The subject site contains a residence, ranch buildings, and active agriculture in form of an orchard. It is not located in an environmentally sensitive area and is surrounded by agriculture and rural residential uses. The County Engineering Branch, Environmental Health Services Division, Fire Department, and Planning Branch require conditions of approval. The project will not require additional public services. And once again, here is the site plan. And staff's report, do you have any questions for me? Or the applicant will probably be available on phone.
You have any questions? Okay.
If I remember correctly, there was comments that the vehicle miles were going to be increased. Was this provided to that group, and what did they say? What did they respond to?
As I said, they have the employees are hired through a broker, and so it's likely that they'll be coming from closer. But VMT should be less because they're.
No, the opposition, I think.
You're asking if CRLA, we did give them our memo response. They did not really respond to that point exactly. I think before they had not had the opportunity to read our guidelines. And outside of that, did they have any other real comments about
I think that was the
anything we
big-
responded
big
to?
No, I
No.
didn't get a response.
And if they're reducing staff, there'll be fewer miles anyway, right?
It's just that I remember them that was the big item,
Yeah.
and there's nobody here, so.
Well, and if you also remember during that conversation, Mariah from CRLA had said, unless the county has adopted the VMT standards, and that's when I pointed out to her, if she'd
Okay.
like to read it, it's available online. Yes, we had adopted it. We had made, as April pointed out, the finding that a project like this is exempt from those standards,
Okay.
so.
All right, thank
But
you.
nonetheless, we did put a whole lot of discussion in the record that there is actual reduction in VMT.
All right, thank you.
question, and probably maybe for Aaron. You know, we're building a new packing facility. During the permitting process and whatnot, is there any kind of a survey made of existing facilities that might be available instead of going out and building more? Because, you know, we get some of these older facilities that could be rehabbed, but people would prefer to go out and build new. And it would be nice if we don't end up with these white elephants all over the
Right.
place.
Well, and I do remember economic development maybe 6, 7 years ago, starting that study. I don't remember exactly what happened with it, but yes, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Well, yeah,
So
just-
it you know, it's something we could quite easily, we have the foundations for it, so the county could put that out there, and that would be helpful.
Yeah, you know, obviously they'd prefer to have a brand-new facility if they could get it built easily. And these others, many of them can be rehabbed for same or less money.
Right, and there's,
Are any of those along the 99? I think that's the big savings is
Yeah,
here.
well, there are some, but, yeah.
Tipton's facilities, and, you know, there's here and there where there are use permits that would allow for this with minor modifications versus having to go through the whole process, and we'd like to put them into the UDBs and not, you know, out in, all with the use permits on, in AE zones. But yes, that's a good idea. That's something we could bring forward to the planning commission next couple months, put something together.
Through the chair, there's a general plan policy supporting the reuse of established ag service facilities.
That makes sense.
All those cotton gins, huh?
Was the loss of the drop in employment numbers was what, 64 to 20 something?
60 to 40, yeah.
16.
Land use question, but are there any outplacement plans for displaced employees or to go elsewhere, or do they come from a broker or a labor, you said a labor contractor?
And that would be a
Sets
question for
are
the
what,
applicant.
grading and sorting and that kind of thing?
That would be a question for the applicant, I'm afraid, or County of
So
Fresno.
we can ask, I guess I'll just say that's a question I have.
Well, is anybody online or on the phone, Velma?
We don't have anybody on the
So-
phone.
Just as a, we could put that question in, we could put that question into the, resolution that it was asked, and see, but, yeah, that's not a land use question.
Additional questions for staff? Okay, is there anybody present or on the phone who would like to comment on this item?
No, I don't have anybody on the phone.
Okay, so we'll give it a minute.
Just an outside comment here. People don't think they can read lips, but it's incredible how you do actually read lips when you're listening to somebody, because I'm having a heck of a time hearing some of these comments, you know, from people
Right.
behind these masks.
Right.
Well, plus it's muffled.
And it's muffled too, yeah. But you actually, you do read lips.
I can read yours, though.
Yes.
I read minds.
You see the eyes, hey, now. You see the eyes?
Why do I have a mask on? You guys don't have a mask.
Yeah. I think, Bill, you sent good vibes this way or something, because now your machine's working. It's on, yeah.
I'm not coming back. I found a new home. I'm here.
It's too short.
All right, so the minutes passed, and any additional people on the phone, Vilma?
No, we don't have anybody on the phone.
So then we're going to close the public comment section of this hearing item. Is there any commissioner discussion? No? Then would anybody like to make a motion?
This is Bill Whitlatch. I'll make the motion to approve a categorical exemption consistent with CEQA and state CEQA guidelines pursuant to Title 14 California Code, Regulations Section 15061B3, the common sense rule, and conditionally approve special use permit number PSF 20-069.
PSP.
PSP.
The
Oh,
picture's got,
it's
got
the-
your P off.
My P is blocked, so all I can, it looks like an F.
Aguilar, and I'll second that motion.
Okay, please vote. Okay, the motion to approve special use permit number PSP 20-069 passes with 6 yes and 1 absence. And I want to just say thanks to staff for, this is a very detailed follow-up to that last meeting, so I know it took a lot of work, and so thank you. Okay, all
You're welcome.
right.
A quick comment, when I was reading PSP, the screen showing our commissioners, 3 of them at that end, covers up the P. So is there any way I can, in the future, make, I can see them from here, I don't need it on my screen, so, please?
Or I think you can move it up farther up. I think that it was
No, I
covering.
tried to push
No,
it up.
I don't think we can.
Be able to, yeah.
Oh, blocked, yeah.
When you were viewing it on your screen, it was
If you view it on your screen, there's always a part that's,
cut
covered
off?
up. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what we can do with that.
Maybe if you make it bigger, it'll disappear, like tap it.
No, if
I
it
mean,
got
that's-
bigger, it'd be worse, wouldn't it?
Well, it depends, sometimes the proportions change.
His is bigger.
Yeah.
He already has it expanded.
Oh, okay.
I didn't do it.
All right. So we're going to move on to director's report.
I'll make this short and sweet today. Aaron Bach, Planning Director, Resource Management Agency. As far as subdivisions, we are seeing a lot of interest in Goshen. So, and this kind of starts to set the foundation for questions like, is there a park located, parks or school located in the area are going to become some bigger questions here as more development moves forward. So we're anticipating doing that. Again, we don't have impact fees in the county. So a lot of this will have to come through our CEQA documents to create the nexus for those amenities. And so as we work through that process, we'll be bringing stuff in front of the Planning Commission. And most of it's going to be in the form of mitigation measures. And so be prepared for that. Hector's group's doing a great job. A lot of EIRs on the street and a lot of environmental documents have been produced over the last 2 months. So I know he's working very hard. So one of the latest ones was a Hampton Inn in Three Rivers. Getting a lot of comments back on that one. And then Hector's on the verge of producing another EIR for Woodville landfill. And so kudos to him and his group, despite everything, to continue to meet the demands of projects like this with the ISM&D and having to switch over to meet the schedules as the developers push us to get up here to the podium. And then to go back to these long-term EIR projects, it's phenomenal that his group has been able to stay consistent through all this COVID, because our project numbers, on one hand, the entitlements are fairly easy. It's the CEQA documents that get really complicated. So we've been able to maintain that despite everything. And then we're also looking for more grant funding, CDBG funding, to help out a little bit on the building department side, and looking to help the city of Lindsay out a little bit here in the near future, because we continue to work with them through their settlement with the HCD and be their basically the holder of the grant for them. So that's taking a lot of our time in RMA just to keep that process going smoothly for them. Outside of that, numbers are still good. In fact, I just signed off a list of 20 new projects. And I asked, was that backed up projects or that just haven't got back to the planners yet? Or is that what just came in? That's just what came in over the last week. So I guess people are sensing COVID is over. April, we just approved 2 temporary events, parties. HHSA said the new state guidelines came out on the 15th of April. So 17th of April, they'll come out, and then we'll go back to a little bit normalcy as far as events, because it's been a hit and miss out there, and most of the code violation, illegal events of what's been happening. So at least we'll go back to legal events. So.
A quick question for you. Who sets the standard for affordable housing? To me, 280,000 is not affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd use the term market rate affordable.
There you go.
As the ex-developer. But that's the, they're not, affordable housing itself is set by HCD, and it's a percentage of the income. And it's really set and given to us through the RENA process, so you can see what affordable housing is to the state of California. So it's not one size fits all, it's a
Well, it's
percentage,
up to that
percentage of the
number.
median income
It's not
based
that
on.
number.
What's that?
That number's not absolute, that's up to that number.
Right.
So you could be at 195 or 175, if that's what the market.
He said, Mr. Nunley said that his houses are gonna be maybe 20, 30 grand less than what the market would be, but
No, what,
Yeah.
less than Visalia.
less than Visalia, yeah.
That's, the
Well,
market is
the-
gonna pay
the-
whatever the market pays.
USDA funding requirements don't allow them to charge the absolute full price like he's saying, but it's still above what most people would think of as affordable. In most cases, it really only comes down to if the county has a affordable housing requirement and/or they're looking for some kind of density, self-help, looking for some kind of density bonus. There's really no benefit in this county as far as density bonuses or anything. We're so streamlined that to be affordable or not, it doesn't really matter to us, But as far as to someone like self-help, obviously, who requires some grant funding, then they have to do it that way.
Some of these loans you don't have any out-of-pocket expense. And right now, some of my slumlord clients, they're buying older houses in Goshen, and they're getting $700-800 a month. So the low interest rate, if Nunley's house, it's amazing how affordable they can be. And so I think some of those folks get some government money to help make their payment too.
Right, and that's the other part of the
Difference,
USDA granting process. They'll be able to receive that grant to get into these properties, FHA loans. So that's another component of it, and it's usually on the buyer side.
And it's
not
kind of an
necessarily-
interesting formula when you go to sell, because you have to pay them back. They take a percentage. But for people who work really hard all their life, it's a good way to be able to buy a house and have a place to live and gain
Right.
some equity.
Well, and that's great that Mr. Nunley's in that USDA market, because before that, we have SME and maybe a couple of other builders, but that's about it. Otherwise, you really can afford to build in a lot of these disadvantaged communities.
It always seems like some folks, they say, well, we'll just pass it on to the builder. Well, builder's only going to take so much, and lumber is more than doubled. So it's not just the builder, it goes all the way
Yeah.
up the line. So.
Commodity prices are just crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Are we moving on then to Planning Commission discussion items or requests for future agenda items?
Maybe we should have a party at your house and you buy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Soon, very soon, I'll have more cookies.
Those nice fillets,
What's that?
from Costco.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no more discussion items or anything else on director's report, we're going to adjourn until the April 28th meeting.
Velma, I will not be here for the second meeting in